and record it. God. I'm excited. All right, we're jumping back in. But I said this in my stories earlier, that the medical model right now, it's not ideal. I'm being gentle. It's recording, right? Okay, good. It's not ideal, and that's being gentle, right? We go to the doctor, right? Well, first, something's wrong. We got to go right to the doctor. And we have to take off work, take our kids out of school, schedule an appointment. Like it's a whole thing, right? So to do all those things, also in our culture, we expect some sort of, exchange, right? There's got to be some exchange. And usually a lot of the things we go for, they can't really give us a one-stop shop, like fix for what we have going on, right? But we need that exchange. So they're like, well, maybe I can give you this antibiotic. Maybe I can give you this pill. Maybe I can do this. And it doesn't always work, right? It might fix the symptom, but it's not getting to the root. And it's just this really unhealthy dynamic we have. And a lot of that stems from the fact that we haven't been taught about our bodies, right? I often think for a long time, I wanted to be a health and life skills teacher. And I know everyone's like, those are like the throwaway classes, but that's the thing. I don't think they're throwaway classes. I think they're incredibly important classes, right? And I think if public education's design was egalitarian, right? To kind of make it where the playing field is even between all people of socioeconomic status, that means you can be coming into a house that doesn't have wisdom about medicine or access to healthy foods and things like that. But you can go in here and you can learn about your body, so you can learn healthy life skills, and you can still have a good shot at things. My health and life skills, my teacher was on the spectrum, and that's fine, but he couldn't make eye contact. He couldn't really communicate, honestly. And so we had these worksheets we filled out. They were like the most basic things. Took us maybe 10 minutes. And then we watched a movie the entire time. And I'm always thinking, what a missed opportunity, right? To learn about our bodies, to learn about how our bodies work and how we can take good care of them, and how we can, on top of just like money management would have been kind of cool, with all the life skills, right? But we're not taught that. And I think that we actually have kind of been pushed into this relationship with Western medicine that's kind of narcissistic and codependent, right? Like, I'm going to go to you because I need something. Something is going on inside of my body, but I need to go to you for the answers. And I'm going to keep relying on you. And we very rarely, not you and not we, right? But generally, rarely go into that, even if we do go to the doctor, which is, fine, with the self-knowledge, with our sovereignty, with our knowledge of how our bodies works, and trust and intuitive nudges we get from our bodies. So I want this to be the seed of change for that paradigm, right? So we can begin to look at this whole system in a different way. So brief story for me. I am originally from Los Angeles, and then I spent 1 year in Alabama, and then I went to New York where I went to school, and I had a son, and then I spent another decade in Alabama. So my mother, she went back to school when I was in middle school and graduated the day after I graduated high school, with a master's degree in Chinese medicine to become an acupuncturist. So I always grew up kind of learning Chinese medicine alongside of her, right? Like, it's just the dinner table, she would quiz my little sister. What color is this organ? What color is that, right? That was how we were raised. She started giving us Chinese herbs and all this kind of stuff as she was learning it. And then after college, when I went to live in Alabama that 1 year, I worked with her. I worked right alongside her. I was reading her books, and it was kind of like an apprenticeship. I was just working right under her. And I just learned so much about Chinese medicine, and it gave me that lens of understanding my body and understanding health. And then when I went to New York, I just spent that summer in Alabama where I was swimming in rivers for the first time, and just really getting dirty and spending time in nature. And so when I went to New York, I was like, where are the trees? So I found this one little section of Brooklyn that I could find that also at dusk had women and children out on the street. So I was like, all right, there's trees and women and children out when it's dark. This feels safe, right? And I worked at this daycare, and underneath the daycare was a bank. And I was getting out of a breakup. I had my frosted boyfriend. We were all vegan. I had my camo jacket. I was like trying to get into it, right? Trying this new, like, natural life. And I go to the bank and I saw this girl I never saw before, and I never saw her after. Now remember, I went to that bank every Friday to get my little go spend money check, right? Or deposit and then get my little spending money. And I'm sitting there, and she goes, "You look like you're into natural stuff." Of course, I was like, she could tell, yes, it's me. She gets, I get it. Like, I'm in, right? I was like so excited. And she was like, "You have to follow this herbalist. Oh, you have to look up this herbalist," because I wasn't in it. And she was like, "She talks to the plants." And I was like, "She what?" Okay. So I went and I YouTube. There was YouTube, and I like just took all the YouTube information. And then the next Friday, I got my little money, and I went to Flower Power, the herb store. And I said, "What's a book you can recommend for a beginning herbalist?" And she gave me that herbalist's book. And I was like, okay, I'm in. I'm set. I went and studied from her up at her house in upstate New York. There's a lot of controversy around her now as she's gotten older. She's gotten mean. But her knowledge and her wisdom of the plants is one of those where I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And when I started reading this book and I was taking her teachings, one thing she does is called the Wise Woman Way. She calls the Wise Woman Way invisible. And although I've been a mother for 11 years, being back in new motherhood, really, and now being a homeschooling mother too, I'm remembering again how invisible mothering is, how women's work is invisible, but also prevention is invisible, intuition is invisible, right? Cycles, these aren't tangible things we can always hold in our hands, right? But they exist in all things. That's the Wise Woman Way. And while I could go on about that for many more classes, what I do want to talk about is the steps she lays out for healing in the Wise Woman Way. The first step, we start actually at 0. Okay, this is where we do nothing. Now, I'm saying this because remember, the seed is to break out of the codependent relationship in with the medical system, right? And so the first thing is we do nothing. First thing is we reflect, we watch, we see what our bodies do. Something comes out, we reflect, we watch, we examine, we explore, right? That's the first step. And it's the 0 step. It's just nothing, right? Instead of, oh my gosh, this is happening. Help someone, help me. I don't know what's going on, right? And I think possibly this is the one good thing about millennials not having enough money for health insurance is that we start, we don't necessarily have the funds to pay to go right to the doctor. Might be a silver lining. The second thing, number 1, is we collect information, right? But we don't go to WebMD and decide that we are dying, right? I even saw this on Organic Olivia. She had this neck issue, and even her, amazing herbalist, went to urgent care and said, "I got meningitis." and I know she's not the only one that has done that, right? We've all looked and been like, okay, my thigh hurts. I have like thrombosis and everything's I'm going to lose my leg tomorrow, right? We've all been there some place in that spectrum. But we collect information that kind of lets us know what we might be dealing with, what things are connected where, etc. That's number 1. First, we collect information. Then we engage the energy, number 2. So what is this? We've examined, we've watched, we've seen what our body is doing. And then we're collecting the information just to be more well-informed, right? And then we engage the energy. Okay, do we need a nap? Do I need to go for a walk? Do I need to take a bath? Have I grounded lately? Do I need to just put my bare feet in the earth? What can we do just to engage the whole spectrum of our wellness? right? We've been having pains for 2 weeks and realized that we haven't stretched or done a downward dog in a month. Go do these things, right? Things that are super proactive and actually really have a benefit for our health, but we kind of forget, right? Engage the immunity. And then, not until we're on technically the fourth, but the third thing, do we ingest anything? We nourish and tonify. So when we're nourishing and tonify, we are just looking to herbs that are deeply nourishing, right? They're tonic herbs. So these are herbs that don't really have significant physical, they're not going to make the energy go anywhere. They're more going to be filling us with the nourishment, the minerals, the vitamins, things like that. We have to remember that we are mirrors of Earth, right? Of our planet, of nature. And our food doesn't have the minerals and vitamins that it used to because our soil doesn't. Our soil is depleted. We are mirrors of this, and our bodies get depleted so easily. So the first thing we do is nourish and tonify. So for me, this always comes down to nourishing herbal infusions, right? So the first thing, I'm going to type it, that's why I'm moving this around, is nettle, oat straw, red raspberry leaf, linden, red clover, right? Bone broth, or just a broth in general, right? So we can deeply nourish, okay? Because, or maybe a really nice green juice or a smoothie, depending on how you needed to engage the energy, right? You listened to your body, you saw it needed more energy or needed to pull back and, you know, like kind of gently massage your energy, whatever it may be. And then you nourish that way. Then fourth, then you stimulate and sedate. And when we do this with herbs, okay? So we do this with herbs that have a little bit more of a reaction in our body. They are not just nourishing and tonifying the tissues. They are kind of telling the tissues what to do. They're sending the energy some sort of way, right? So if we needed more blood flow, we would do stimulants, right? If we are just go, and we wanted to calm down, we would look at ways to sedate the energy. We're going to get into this more later. But this is how we look at it, right? And then after you've done all these protocols of nourishing herbs, got your broth, and then you're like, got your little tincture, and you made your little teas, and you're like, I'm feeling so much better. So many of my symptoms are gone, but I think I still have some lingering things. Then number 5 is use drugs. Number 6 is break and enter. So we're trying to flip the script on its head. I think of that that episode of Virgin River I posted, right? She had endometriosis. She went to the doctors a bunch of times. Nothing they gave her worked. So they did a surgery, right? So number 2 was surgery. And then that didn't work. And so the only option left was hysterectomy. They take the whole damn thing out. And I know that's just a TV show, but I think of my mother who had fibroids and in her 40s went to have a fibroid removed. They found out that she actually had endometriosis and that it had gone and spread on her ovaries, and they just took her ovaries out. They didn't ask. It wasn't part of the plan. They thrust her into menopause. So this is a TV show, but this is what happens specifically to women, right? And if it's happening to a white middle class woman, it's happening to women very into the industrial medical complex, and then also to women who don't have other options and don't have the same socioeconomic status, right? The number 1 and 2 things that we do, being go to the doctor, is going to make it where we have to use their medicines faster. I know if my mother would have let me I was a kid, I didn't know, would have let me put her on an herbal protocol, could we have completely eradicated it? Possibly. She says she has with herbs for the patients now. But I know we could have at least cut it in half, at least before she went and had all these break-in into her, all these drugs, all these different things. If you ask her, she'll say she even got fibroids because she was in experiment. Yes, she was in experiment in the 60s with birth control. So, but that's a whole other conversation. Number 5 and 6, number 5 is to use drugs, and number 6 is to break an infant. So that would be surgery. So this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying don't ever go to the doctor. No, I'm saying I want us to, this is breaking with that codependence, right? By choosing their methods, not first, second, or third, right? The first, second, and third are actually us tapping deeply into our bodies, right? And now to do this, we have to have a better understanding, right? I think we have this mindset, and again, maybe not us, right? We're already on the path, but generally, we have this mindset that we don't know what's going on in our bodies. It's all inside. How am I supposed to know what's going on? But that's not true. Again, we have not been taught health and life skills, and I kind of think they made them throw away classes on purpose, because our external is actually a beautiful map of the internal, right? And this is where I like to study connections of things, right? If I've studied health, I've looked at all different types of modalities from all over the world, and also with religion, spirituality. And what I always seem to notice more than anything is the overlap, right? I mean, I was laughing about it today. I have this tattoo. I got the Vesca Pisces, but it's also a damn Venn diagram, right? And what is that? It's about seeing where two things, they both come together to create something new, but they also have overlap for where they can come together and find commonality. And so when I see all these different modes of studying the body, health and wellness and medicine, there are so many connections, right? So like I told you, was raised with Chinese medicine. So it's, I'm feeling well, like my mom, she always had a sweaty cloth while she was in menopause. And now I feel like I need like a class of sweaty cloth. Sorry. But I was raised with the Chinese medicine as the lens in which I see this. And I find it to be so beautiful. It sees where we've got the planets, right? We've got the celestial bodies, and then we've got the seasonal bodies, the seasons on the planet, right? And then us, where we fit in, and then plants. And it maps out how they all overlap. And we can see the mirrors in all of them. I see the mirrors in myself with the seasons and with my cycles, and with the cycles of the planets, right? And with the cycles of the plants as they shift and change throughout the year, right? Or in their own life cycles. I see all of that. So I want to talk about how traditional Chinese medicine maps out the body so we can begin to see what's going on in our bodies in a new way, right? We can read the maps of our external body to have a better understanding of our internal body, so we know how to nourish and nurture ourselves back to better health. So traditional Chinese medicine begins with, it's so ornate. Like I said, my mother got a whole master's degree in it. So this is going to be a quick and dirty of some really complex things, but I don't know. If you're anything like me, it'll just be like, whoa, that's amazing. That's how I feel still all these years later. So it has the basis of yin and yang, right? Yin is that dark, the feminine, the receptive, the creator, right? That creation energy. And then it's got the yang, which is the fire, the sun, the masculine penetrative energy, right? And it sees the organs in this, and it pairs them with a yin and a yang organ, okay? So they're all in pairs. One is yin, one is yang. The yin is the organ that like creates the energy, right? It is just continually doing the feature of what that organ is doing. And the yang is the transporter. So the yin is creating, and the yang is like, take it here, do this, take it here, move it here, go here. It's transporting it around. That's that yin and yang energy balanced in the organ systems. And so there are different organs, and all of the organs then have a sensory organ that they're connected to, tissues in the body, right? And so I'm going to give you just a brief rundown of the organ systems to have a better understanding. So do you have any questions thus far? Because sometimes this gets to be a lot for people. So, all right. So we'll start with the liver and the gallbladder. All right. So the liver, and I want to say this though, that although they represent the organs in the body, they're not just the physical organs, right? They're also the energetic organs. What I think is so beautiful about Chinese medicine, like I said, is that it sees all the different things about the body. Like it's that it sees that the spirit is entering the physical through the body and how sacred that is, right? There was a story I wanted to tell, came in my mind, it just popped out again. So I'm gonna let it go. But so we'll start with the liver is paired with the gallbladder, right? The liver, because like the stores the blood, right? And you know, the liver does so many things in the body. But when we are looking at the liver and the gallbladder, we see this in that the liver opens up to the eyes, right? The liver is on the fingernails. So we can see very well that if we have certain things going on, right, we have floaters, there's some liver stagnation. We have different things going on with our nails. They're going to tell us what's going on with our body. It also rules the ligaments, okay? So the liver and the gallbladder doesn't just show up in digestion, right? And its flavor, every organ has a flavor, it has a season, it has a fluid, right? So the flavor of the liver and the gallbladder is sour, and it rules the emotions, but its emotion is anger. Okay. And it's in the eyes, so it's tears. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, just had to be sure about that real quick. Because it's salt water, and I was like, wait, no, is that the kidney spin? So all these different things we can see with the liver. Like my mom used to always say, if someone is like talking too much, talking, like they're not getting any of the social cues, they just can't seem to shut up. Like she'd be like, whoa, something's off with that person's liver. That was always what she would say. And so now I was like, Mom, shh. And now I see someone not shut up, or my son wouldn't shut up. And I was like, maybe I should give him something for his liver. This is what I'm thinking as he's just going on and on and on. And I'm like, maybe he needs something for his liver. Right? So, or if you're like angry, rah, rah, rah. This is like mom, sister, patience. But these are signs of the liver. Okay. It also rules spring. And so this is why we see it's got the color of yellow. And so what are some of the first flowers that pop up in the spring? I always think of dandelion, right? Such a beautiful herb for the liver. It helps the flow of things. And that's all liver energy, liver gallbladder energy. Now, gallbladder is an extraordinary organ in Chinese medicine. There's only 3 of them: the gallbladder, the uterus, and the brain. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel like we could get a group of 10 people together, specifically if they're over 40, and at least 3 of them probably won't have some of those organs, right? I know so many people that don't have gallbladders, and an alarming number of women that don't have uterus. These are extraordinary organs, right? And they're just popping them out left and right. Next, after spring, is summer, and this is the heart and the small intestine, right? So the heart is creating the blood, right? It's pumping, well, not creating, but it's pumping the blood, right? It's moving it all over. And the small intestine is taking the food, assimilating it, and then turning it into blood. They're very connected. They go to the base of the tongue, and it's summer, it's cardiovascular system. They're the fluid of sweat, right? And they rule the blood vessels. Okay, so we can see that if we're having issues with it's also the flavor of bitter, and bitter also supports the liver. So it's beautiful because when we use bitter herbs, they do is that the energy of that heat in the liver, they cool it down, and they cool down the heart. And so the emotion of the heart is joy, right? It's like being able to just be out in that summer heat, just oh, I'm just feeling so great, right? Everything's flowing. I'm digesting my food. My heart is pumping so full of love. Everything's flowing. I'm just feeling great, right? And so the liver as the storer of blood, that's why the energy between the sour, bitter flavors and the anger, the emotions in the liver affect the heart. Okay, so there's a connection here already, right? And so like you can see a lot of the heat in the tongue, right? I have a story about that later. So the next season, they have like an extra season right in here where we are right now. It's like the Indian summer, late summer. And this is the spleen and the stomach. Okay. So these organs, rule the spleen and stomach. They rule the muscles and the mental clarity. We're only listening for a spleen, apparently. And for like the mental clarity, while my mother was in school, they would also always say, you need the spleen builds the blood, right? So it's like we take the food in, we digest it, and part of that digestion is helping create that blood and that chi energy that so that it can go to the extremities like the brain, and it can go to all the overworking of the muscles, right? So that's why if you're working out a lot, you want to make sure you have some complex carbs, right? To make sure that your muscles can handle it all. And if you're studying a ton, think of this as right when school starts, you want to take things to support your spleen because it's working on your mental clarity and your mental well-being, and your ability to like retain information, and things like that. So the spleen and stomach, they come out to the lips. Okay. And so this is the Indian summer, late summer, as we head into fall. And fall is the lungs and large intestine, right? So I think this is beautiful. The lungs rule grief, and they also rule your large intestine, which is letting go. So we often find that if we're heavy in grief, right, heavy in unresolved emotions, you have to check with your digestion. Are you able to truly let go? Are you able to digest your life and then let it go out? Or are you holding on to things? Okay. The lungs and the large intestine, they they rule the skin. Okay. So the heart rules your complexion, right? So if you get rosacea a lot, or if you're always flush, these are signs of like the heart and the small intestine are a little bit, out of whack, maybe a little too much heat, too much stimulation, things like that. But the lungs, they rule the skin. Okay. And you have to think about it as we go into fall, right? What does everyone get? First of all, hit with pollen. Second of all, respiratory issues, right? So this is the season of the top where my hair goes up, but it's also the season. I tried now. Next time I'm using cute little braids up. I feel like I'm ready to go like milk some goats or something. Anyway. But anyway, so we've got the lung and the large intestine, and they rule the skin. And this is the season where we have to protect our respiratory system from all the things that are coming at us. Now, it's also the leaves fall, the seasons change. We usually get kind of romantic and melancholy. And this is an important time to really nourish the lungs, because that can become extended grief, right? And so it's really dry, right? So the large intestine and the lungs and the respiratory system in general, they all have a lot of mucosal tissue, right? So it's a good time to really make sure that you're keeping it juicy, I like to say, right? Using herbs that help support those organ systems. Also helps you realize like what organ system might be having a deeper issue when you start having the smaller signs of imbalance with it, right? And then the final season is winter, and this is the kidneys and the urinary bladder. And this is ruled by the water element. And kidneys are the emotion of fear. And it's also, it's winter, it's the dark, the days are the shortest. Um, well, they do start getting longer, but it's the dark time. And so it's also very dreamlike, right? And it's a time to nourish that kidney energy. We have our kidney essence, and women, we lose that through childbirth. Not lose it all, but like that's where we expend it the most, like in a large amount. We have so much of that essence within us. And men lose it through ejaculation. So, thinking of how much to say about because I could have a whole other class about men and their kidney essence and how they use their sexual energy, but I'll just leave it at that. You can use your imagination. Or also women who have back-to-back pregnancies, they really have to work on having that nourishment because it does deplete a lot of that essence. And the kidneys, they rule the bones and they rule the hair. Okay, so you can kind of see how your kidney energy is doing based on how your hair is. Is it falling out? Is it lackluster? Is it thinning in certain areas? This can give you a really good sign of kidney health. Also, like dark circles under the eyes. Now, this can be different based on the seasons and skin tone, right? More olive skin tones, that can change if they're not in enough sun. But generally, you can kind of tell the difference between dark circles around the eyes being just because you didn't get enough sun in the winter or because you don't look well. You know what I mean? And so as we understand this organ pairings and how they show up on the body, we can begin to really start mapping our own wellness, right? Being able to see, oh my gosh, I probably need some kidney energy. I'm like looking a little lax over here, right? Or my nails are so bitter and they're brittle and I need better herbs. That was a good slip. But my nails just keep breaking off and I can't get them to grow and they just are so weak. Maybe look at what's going on in your liver. Same thing if you have all these floaters all of a sudden. Send some nourishment up to that, down to your liver. The complexion, like I said, or even whether you have breakouts or dry skin, that can help you see what's going on with the lungs. Remember, the lungs and the large intestine, they have mucosa. So that juiciness is important. And we can see that if we have excessive dry skin, we might have a lot of dry mucosal tissue inside that is affecting our digestion or affecting our lungs and respiratory lungs. So this is a way to map out our bodies and see what's going on, being able to be very present with what's going on within us, and to also start to see that with the seasons, because like I said, they go all the way through. And in my upcoming course, I go all the way through this. I did just a free class, like a little bonus last time, and it was not enough because I think this is super important and beautiful to understand. So I'm going to kind of like reverse engineer some things based on what you guys sent me. But do you guys have any questions, any thoughts, anything about the Chinese medicine before we get there? You can put it in the chat. You can unmute either way. You can give me a thumbs up. If not, taking my tea so I can drink it. It's got some juicy herbs for my throat. Okay. Wait, did you say icicles under? Okay, did you say sorry, there was a spelling error that didn't make any sense. Wait, did you say under eye circles are kidney issues or liver? Kidney. Yeah, like just like a lot of darkness all around. That's kidney. Yeah, so it says my name, and that says direct message next to it, and then you can like scroll up and say message the group or something. Because she's like, I don't know why I'm direct messaging this. There you go. Yeah, so that's the kidneys. Now, the cool thing is that each of these organs, they also have a color, right? So you can look to foods that are that same color, right? Yellow foods will support the liver and gallbladder. Red foods will support the heart and the small intestine. And white foods will support the lungs and the large intestine. And black foods is the food of the color of kidneys and urinary bladder. So a lot of black foods would be really good. Think seeds and things like that. What's the last one? Like for the spleen and stomach. Yeah. So based on the food color, I mean the color of the organ systems, you can also see the foods that will be nourishing and understand why. Right? If the kidneys rule the water element, and then black foods like seaweed or nettle, which if you steep it really long, it's really dark and black. It literally tastes like like swamp water, right? But it's so nourishing to the kidneys, right? And I could talk about this forever, but that's the way we can begin to map out our bodies and see what's going on inside. Okay. So now I'm going to look at a few of the issues you guys mentioned to me, and I'm gonna do something I've never done. I'm gonna write my little whiteboard. Because like I said, the typing is not working. So we're gonna go through the steps of the wise woman way, right? We're gonna start with do nothing, just reflect, observe. I really like the swamp water nettle taste. Really, I have to have the swamp water nettle taste on ice. Otherwise, I just cannot do it. It is so intense to me. You know, Amelia was saying that too the other day. She was like, how can I drink the nettle and like it? To me, it has to be on ice. Otherwise, it's like, but we're going to go through this lemon and honey. Oh yeah, I could see that being good. You got to add, something has to be added to it to make it more palatable for me. So we're going to go first with the do nothing. Then we're going to collect information, engage the energy, nourish, then sedate and stimulate. That's what we're going to talk about, right? So the first thing was period issues came through so heavy. And there was periods with heavy blood, periods with pain, periods with PMS, just all kinds of period issues, right? So first we're going to do nothing, right? We're going to just look and reflect on our periods and see how the cycle goes. But I also want to say that we're not going to really just do nothing, right? When it comes to our periods, this is something that we really have not been taught about. Again, all of us, we probably know this, but generally it's kind of amazing how we don't. Our periods are 4 different phases of a whole cycle, right? Of 28 days. So we often focus on what's happening during our menstrual phase or what's happening during our premenstrual phase. But we can see a lot of what causes this or what may be triggering this by what's happening in the other phases, right? So this is where we're collecting information, right? We're seeing what happened in this phase or that phase, right? I was talking to one woman, right? And she was really great about this, but it was like, okay, I'm having these things going wrong with my period, but I had been doing really well for like months and months, really working to get my period better. And she was like, but I did notice that when I went for a pap smear, after that, I had pain afterwards in my next period. Or I had sex with a man and it was like very aggressive afterwards. And I had to like put a lot of boundaries up. And after that, my periods got worse. So we need to realize that it's not just what's happening on our period. And also we need to be able to see all the different things happening in our lives that could cause this. Because, you know, I've been a mom for 11 years, but just having a baby again, and I think just having perspective, it's amazing what the womb can do, whether or not you actually have children with it. But it's this creative force. It's this amazing carrier of wisdom that goes within us for years and generations to come and generations before us. Like the uterus, the ovaries, all of these parts are so sacred and amazing and so multi-dimensional that we can't think that it's not holding so much in it for all that we go through. And I know sometimes we don't want to look at all that it's had to hold, right? Because it's triggering and it is heartbreaking and it is too much to bear, right? And I get that. But when we're looking and we're collecting information, we do need to look beyond just the physical things, right? Just what we ate, although that's important, right? Notice what we're eating, what we're not just what we're eating, but what we're craving at different times, what these might mean, right? How much energy we have this week versus this week, etc. This is collecting the information on ourselves, on what this may mean, what our different phases are. Shoot, some people might not even know what phase they're on, right? If you're on birth control and you don't even get a period, again, but that's a whole other thing to decode. But, and then again, engaging the energy. Do you feel like things are stuck and stagnant and maybe some walking would be good? Or do you feel like you need to go to sleep 3 hours earlier and get 10 extra hours of sleep a week, right? Or take some baths, get a massage, do some self-massage, all of these things are engaging the energy. And then the nourishment, right? And I think nourishing herbal infusions in this place, specifically when it comes to our reproductive organs, is so important. So many issues that we get with our periods is not enough calcium, right? Not enough blood. We're not nourished enough, right? According to Chinese medicine, with all these different organs and how they assimilate and create the blood, right? For Chinese medicine, it's connected to the spleen, to the liver, and to the kidneys, not just like our heart and our womb, right? All these organs are a symphony of creating and having luscious blood for our wombs and to carry a baby. So again, whether or not that's what you want to do, that's what the body is prepping for regardless. And so nourishing, red raspberry leaf is so high in minerals and vitamins and calcium, oat straw as well, nettle and red clover, they're just filling us with good broths, whether you use meat or just all the green, beautiful veggies and root veggies. All these things are just nourishing. And then how do we look at it once we go into sedate and stimulate, right? We're feeling better, we're feeling a little bit stronger, but we notice that our period is still having the issues. So what do we look for? That's what we're going to talk about, all right? So we're going to reverse engineer how we would look to the herbs we want to use for this, okay? So I'm going to write this on here. I'm going to try and make it as legible as possible. So when I'm thinking period, and I want you guys to interact with me, right? Type it in the thing. If it's not the right answer, then we'll just go on to the next. Like, just throw things out. I'm big on, like, let's workshop it, right? So heavy periods, pain, PMS, etc. What will we want to look at? Like, what are some of the issues? So I'm thinking first thing I want to address, obviously this is with my reproductive organs, I want to look at my hormones, right? So I want to look at my hormones. That's the first thing. Next thing, got really bad cramps, all this, we want to look at pain, right? What else do you think? We want to look at, what else do we want to address? Connection to feminine energy and estrogen. So I'm going to talk about the estrogen when we look at the hormones. Absolutely, yes. We want to look at the PMS, right? It's okay if you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. We're going to do this for a few more things so you can say nervous system. Yes, okay, so we're going to come down here to tonics. Okay. And we're going to put that around there, and it's also going to come into the next thing, which is PMS, right? This is what I got a lot of people like, PMS, what do I do? Right? And so what are some symptoms of PMS, right? We're emotionally all over the place. Our minds are going here, maybe headaches. What else? Moodiness, exactly. So that's very much connected to the emotions, which we're going to talk. Irritability, exactly. Cramps. So that would go with the pain, right? Cramps for the pain. And if I'm going like this because I don't have my glasses because they reflect the light. Let's see. Body pain. So I'm doing this with the pain. Yes, absolutely. And then we want to address, right, the heavy blood. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I'm just checking my notes to make sure. Okay, what's up? The heavy blood. Okay. Now, does anybody in here have too light of periods that we could throw that in there too? I know I used to be more on the other end where I would not, or I would get my period big, super short lips. Then we have that. If not, we don't have to put that. Not somebody doing second. All right, no problem. So we would call this like dysmenorrhea, right? Excessive pain with the period, and this would be like menorrhagia or something like that, where there's excessive blood. So when I'm thinking of this, I'm going to look at, okay, what herbs support hormones? And so a lot of you guys are herbalists, and a lot of the people that sign up for this use herbs regularly. So I'm going to ask for you guys to tell me what you know, and we're going to see how much they relate to what we're looking at. So what are some of your favorite herbs or herbs you heard are good for hormonal balance? Yeah. So Vitex, it's my all-time bae. I'm an herbalist and new here, but my doctor put Chase Tree Berry is Vitex. Exactly. Exactly. Black cohosh. Red raspberry leaf, although I consider that more of a uterine tonic. An RRL, that's red raspberry leaf. Okay. Red clover is great, but that's another one that I would put as tonic, right? Because I said for those to be in the nourishing, right? Nettle for sure. Yeah, that one is again. That's why those nourishing herbs that like those make a difference. When in doubt, use nettle. Exactly. All right, so we're gonna look at these are specifically good for hormones, but what is another organ we always have to like think about when we're talking about hormones? You know, the liver, right? Because often what happens is we have like an estrogen dominance, and the liver can't. Sounds like you need nettle. Everybody needs nettle. Like I feel like if I could like give out an herb like for Halloween, here's nettle for you, here's nettle for you, here's nettle for you, like literally. So we have to look at the every night to drink the next day. I got to get on that. So we need to look at the liver, because the liver, if there's like an estrogen dominance, the problem is that the liver cannot flush out enough, right? And so that's where we begin to see hormone imbalances, right? So again, we want to look to herbs that are give me one second. My baby does not want me to do classes at night anymore. He has stopped working, no matter what I do. So apologies. So with the liver, we want to look for herbs that are bitter. Whoops, she's back. Bitter dandelion burdock. That's exactly what I had. Dandelion burdock. And what else? What else? So if we're looking at the hormones, what system runs the hormones? What body system? Also is connected to the chakras. It's the endocrine system. Endocrine, yes. So when we're doing the endocrine system, when we're supporting the endocrine system, we look for herbs called adaptogens, right? Because this is going to support the system overall, right? Not just like these are going to be with hormones specifically for the female reproductive organs, but this is going to be the endocrine system, which helps send the messages of the hormones itself, right? So some of these that are great, we have licorice, and just tell me, just like type chicken scratch if it's not good. Astragalus, yes. I like ashwagandha, Luthero, rhodiola. There are so many, but we'll just go with that, okay? I love ashwagandha. Yeah, ashwagandha is big. Tulsi too. I love Tulsi. All right, so this is what we're going to look at when we're talking about the hormones, okay? Now, for pain, when we look at for pain, we're going to look for antispasmodic herbs. These tend to be aromatic. What did we say in Create Your Own Health? All nervines are antispasmodic, but not all antispasmodic herbs are nervines. So we're going to be looking for those types of herbs. Now, some of these are antispasmodic, so these will help calm the smooth muscles, right? They're going to help that pain, that gripping pain. So what are some amazing antispasmodic herbs? First one I think of is motherwort, passion flower. I think Emily, exactly, all in the mint family, because that's that aromatic. California poppy. I saw earlier yarrow. Okay, so, and then some others that support pain for the uterus specifically are dongui. I'm not sure if I'm spelling that right. And my favorite, cramp bark. Okay, now when we're looking now, what can we get to support PMS, right? So now I'm going to have some things that are written more than once, and that's good. That's on purpose. We're going to use that. Okay. So we've got Vitex, Dongwei again, Skullcap. So the PMS, this is where we're going to look to some of those nervines, like you said, right? Things to support the nervous system. So we're going to have a lot more of those. We're going to see catnip. What did you say? Oat straw. Oh my God, for everything. But see, that's another one down here, oat straw. When I was prepping for this, every single thing was oat straw, oat straw, oat straw, oat straw, oat straw. I was like, that's why it's nourishing tonic, because it's so good. It's like right alongside nettle, right? Oat straw. And then licorice. Motherwort. All right. Now, is this making sense? How we know, we like, okay, this herb is good for this, this herb is good for this, right? If you look up herbs for PMS, you're going to get a whole list on the internet, right? But you just take that one herb for that one thing that is listed on the internet, are you going to help your whole entire period issues? No, your hormones might not, your hormones aren't going to be fixed, so it's not going to necessarily shift at the root. You haven't really addressed the heavy blood, right? And you haven't necessarily addressed the pain. You just might be a little less moody before your period, which is cool, but it's not like the whole picture, right? All right, so last one, heavy blood flow. Another one for this that's really good is yarrow, shepherd's purse. Haley, I got a message when I was doing this that shepherd's purse is definitely one you should look into. Motherwort. I love motherwort and yarrow because they're so supportive of the blood that they stop it from being too much. They get it going when it's not enough. right? If they really work with your body to understand how to regulate the blood, to get it to go and do what it needs to do. They're such beautiful plants. Pulsatilla. I've never used this, but I want to. And again, Dongwei is good for this. And Vitex. All right, so we've looked at all the things. I had to get another color. All right, so then what do we do? So we're like, okay, I know I've got this issue and I'm looking at all the different herbs for it. What do I do, right? So now I go, and these are all the categories, and we see where there's overlap. So I see Vitex here, and I see Vitex here, and I see Vitex here. What else do you see? We've got yarrow here. Emily also said yarrow for the liver, and yarrow here, right? Dongwei is here, and here, and here. We've got motherwort here, motherwort here, and motherwort here, right? Now I would also do a little thing for taste, and I would maybe have like licorice or cinnamon or ginger. I also had cinnamon here in my list. So taste over here, we'll do licorice, cinnamon, right? And so now I see licorice and cinnamon as well. So now when we're coming up with like a tea blend, let's say, that really suits what is going on with our particular issue, now we had all these herbs, right? We had all these herbs, 1, 2, 3, 4, like 20 herbs. I can't think of. But we break it down, and now we've got 1, 2, 3. We got a handful. I'm not gonna sit here and count with all y'all. But now we have a handful, and now we can create a formula, like a tea blend. Literally, it doesn't have to be some tincture or something intense. These are ways we can like literally go online and be like, PMS herbs, lift them up, write them down. Herbs for painful periods, look them up, write them down, right? And beyond, even if you study deeply. And then you can see, these are the herbs I want to put together. Now, a note, motherwort, yarrow. Some of these might not, or specifically motherwort, might not taste that good, right? So this is where the taste comes in. And they also support the other things you're doing. So now we have a blend that we can have Vitex, yarrow, and motherwort. And we can play with them. Wait, see how we make that. And sing. Right, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 herbs to play with in a tea blend. Does this make sense? In my last Create Your Own Health class, someone asked, like, what do you do for this? And I was like, well, I would look at these 3 things, and I would these herbs, this herb, this herb. And she was like, oh. And I feel like it's a lot. We just did a lot, right? But it's not as hard as it seems when you understand what you need to address within your body, right? Now with this, I would also highly recommend doing yoni steams, right? Emily said connect with the feminine energy. And then I would throw in like every flower. I love yoni steams with flowers. I just think like that's exactly what my flower wants, right? Is all these beautiful queenly flowers thrown in with some things to support my pain and my hormones, right? To support that if you're having, just like when that woman said she had a painful pap smear and had an aggressive sexual encounter. So that is also healing the things that we don't want to look at within our wombs, right? So does this make sense? Do you have any questions on how you would do this and how we would get to this place and how you would then, how you would like choose what you would have, the amount you would put in is a whole other thing. We go over that in my class, which I'm going to tell you about later. But this is narrowing it down to 6 different herbs that fall into that sedate and stimulate, right? This is where if the woman had endometriosis, I stopped and I listened and I was like, okay, what's happening? And I thought of the 5 different things I would look at. And when I went to then look in my textbook, I was 100% spot on in all the different things that you would look at for botanical treatment of endometriosis, right? So when we're thinking of heavy periods, it's the same thing. Energetics, hot and cold, yeah, girl, that's a whole other class I just got y'all for one night. Can you do it for like 4 to 5 separate issues you're having, like not under one umbrella? I mean, like, I guess you could. So elaborate, like 4 to 5 separate issues.
Like, meaning like TMI, but like if you have like constipation, anxiety, no periods at all, like could you do it for that, or is this like meant for like a specific umbrella of things?
well, I mean, I think that if we sat and spent some time with it, we could find some overlaps and find things that could support it. I don't know if it would always be as okay, well, so some of the things I would think, if you're not having periods and you're not pooping, that's like already there's not enough energy moving, right? You would want to stimulate that in different ways, right? So those could probably fall. I was thinking, not to be TMI on your issues, but I was thinking about you earlier and a specific blend that I made and sold last year. And I drank most of it myself because I liked it so much. And it did have some overlap, right? It was helping getting things moving. It wasn't necessarily for the um, uh, the constipation, but it was in supporting digestion in more of the upper digestive tract as opposed to the lower. But it also did balance and help the hormones, but it was very warming and stimulating and getting these things to move. So I guess you definitely could. You would have to do it similarly where you put it all out there and just see if there's any overlap, you know? Like I said, so many antispasmodic herbs are good for pain, are good for immune system, are good for the digestive system, you know? So herbal actions have also multiple applications. So you just have to kind of lay it out like this. So we can do another one for some of the mental health issues. Is it okay if I erase this? We'll do this one more time with mental health issues. Is that cool? Because people send about anxiety, heart palpitations with ringing the ears, depression, and ADHD. If we can look to ways that those have overlap and you can figure out for your specific issue, you know? Okay, so one thing I got a lot of was anxiety and heart palpitations and ringing in the ears and depression and ADHD. Okay, so some herbs we have for anxiety. There's so many, right? Okay, and we'll go down to tonics. So this is tonics generally for the head, the mind, things like that, right? So things for anxiety: skull cap, oat straw, wood betony, motherwort, bee balm, passion flower. Okay, Heart palpitations. What can you think? Lemon balm, motherwort. Yep. Excuse me. What do you think could be beneficial for heart palpitations? Hawthorn. Yep. Hawthorn. Motherwort. Damiana, probably. Melissa's lemon balm. Passion flower. Now, ringing in the ears, I had to do a little bit of research on this one. So some good ones are yarrow. Yarrow came up as the MVP for all research for this class. Bee balm. Rosemary. What are some herbs you think for depression? St. John's wort, yep. Jones wort. Skullcap. Another one I found was oats are always good. They're again one of the tonics. Here. Another one was Melissa, right? Lemon balm, brightener, rose, linden, calendula. Yeah, what was it that I read about calendula? It was like calendula was, I can't remember, so I'm not going to say the wrong thing. This is good. This is a good amount. And then some for ADHD. I was surprised I hadn't looked up this tons, but another one was yarrow. Oh, for here is wood betony too. And rosemary. These two are specifically if there's like a mental haze, right? Something happened and it's just like you're just not able to like kind of get out from under the fog. Lion's mane always for sure. For mental. I don't drink lion's mane as like a tea, so I don't know about that. I've always just done that as like a double extraction or food. ADHD also is oats, bacopa. Wood betony again. I saw St. John's wort. Melissa. Passion flower. Is the other one linden, right? Some tonics are oat, rosemary, cola, and hawthorn. All right, so oat straw. Yep, that's another one down here with the tonics. So again, I see, what do I see? So I see oats here multiple times, and here I see wood betony, I see motherwort, I see Melissa and passion flower, bee balm for both ringing in the ears and anxiety. Now, you might not have all of these, right? I got some people who said anxiety with depression and ADHD, but again, I still see Melissa, passion flower, linden, right? Or anxiety with the heart palpitation and the ringing in the ears, I see bee balm, motherwort, rosemary, yarrow, right? So if you begin to look at the different things and just see what could come up, you can begin to piece together some beautiful things. And so if you have this tea blend you want to make with 3 or 4 of these herbs, and then you want to throw in just a base of the tonics, and you begin to piece it together and take it regularly, you can really start to see. Melissa is lemon balm. Sorry. Melissa is lemon balm. Because it's also super important to recognize that if you've had bad periods, oats like oatmeal. Yeah, like Emily said, they're all part of the same plant. They're just a different part of it. Thank you for answering that while I was over here looking. Like the milky oats is the latex, and so they have different ways that are best to extract them, but they're just the whole plant. Just like oatmeal is soothing to the skin, right? It also has that same effect internally on our nerves. It's one that can really support the myelin sheath and just help heal frayed nerve endings. And it's one of those that I say for the nourishing infusions. It's just so good. It's also really good in minerals and vitamins and support the bones, etc. But if you've had bad periods, if you'd have painful periods for 2 years, heavy blood flow for 6, expecting one tea blend over one cycle to cure your periods, it's not being very kind to your body. It's not being kind to yourself, and not letting your body truly be able to find its wholeness, find its harmony again, like really get to the depth of the issue. So if you create this blend, drink it as a tea, and you start to feel better, then you can go back to the drawing table and be like, well, what herbs didn't I try last time that might be even better fitting for what I'm feeling now? And I did this with my period one year. I was like, I'm just going to address my periods through tea blends every month. And it helped me understand the plants better, helped me understand my physical body, how my periods showed up, what they liked, what they didn't like. If this plant was like, I never tried it before, but oh my God, it was like my new best friend. This is how we can really get to know our bodies, get to know the plants, and how we can be in this beautiful dance of wellness. Yes, slow and intentional medicine, always. Because it's, again, also flipping I'm going to give you a pill to get rid of really just your symptom script that is telling us that's what medicine is. That, oh, you didn't find relief in a few months, just take the organ out. I always say herbal medicine is patient's medicine. So my teacher taught me too. Herbal medicine is patient's medicine. Also think about that plant giving us these beautiful benefits. Like, they don't do that year round either, right? The plant is not in flower all year, right? There, for certain plants that we get the barks or the roots, there are only certain periods when we do that. We talk about milky oats. It's literally like 2 weeks out of the year you could get milky oats while they're milky. Yes, took me over 2 years for balance your hormones from estrogen dominance. Exactly. Me too. It took me a long time. Like, I would say probably 2 years until I got boom, magical pregnancy. I was like, whoa, I didn't think I could get this, right? So it takes time, but it's like, I don't want to say like, oh, it takes forever. It's like, oh my God, I'm on this beautiful journey with this body for my whole life. And I get to just explore all of its splendor and really see what's going on. And the plants then spark up the other things we have to look at, right? So does this make sense? Does this like kind of get your like wheels turning on how you can look at your body in a different way? Now, I know all of this is a lot and you're like, what? So I have, because I have my signature herbal course that I haven't offered in a year. I had my baby and my baby said, you're not going to do anything right while you're pregnant. We're going to stop. And that scared me. But it helped me see the path. It helped me see what was, if it takes a while, how do you know what is working for you? Well, we have the main things we're starting to work on, right? And so you will see it in increments, right? Like, you'll have a little bit less pain, or you'll start to just see the incremental shifts happening, right? Like, it won't be like, oh my God, I magically had perfect period of my life after taking this tea, right? But maybe you notice where you used to be pissed off for like a full 7 days. Now it's just like the first 2 days, or you don't get that headache before your period. You start to see it like that, right? Or and honestly, sometimes it might get a little bit worse before it gets a little bit better, but it's like that like as long as it doesn't feel internally and intuitively like it's bad, you know, you just kind of feel your body sometimes has to purge the not good out to get to that good place. But you just start to see the incremental shifts. My mom always said with acupuncture and herbs that like at the worst case, after you come and get acupuncture, you're just going to sleep better, right? So it's like it might be smaller things and it's cumulative. But so I'm offering my course again, but I've talked with Emily and Jody and my friends on here who have taken it. Emily hasn't, but she's like going to be a contributor. And I was like, what is calling forth? And so it's the same course, it's an herbal course where we talk about the wise woman way and the traditional Chinese medicine. And we look at the herbal actions, right? To know what is an antispasmodic, what's an adaptogen, right? And then what is in the plants that help make it work the way it does, right? And then how do we blend it all together and make our formulas? And we're doing this time, instead of in like in 8 weeks, we're doing it over 6 months. And it's going to be also a community of previous students. And, you know, we're not in pandemic COVID anymore, where we're all inside sitting behind our computers religiously. We're living out here now. And so meeting every week, it's just a lot. So now this course is going to be where we meet twice a month. One is like a spiritual practice with the plants. And then the other is the educational aspect. We'll have shamanic journeys, working through our chakras and just really building the community of herbalists at different levels alongside the learning. And so this was just like a way to piece it together, right? So when we learn all this stuff, how do we do it to feel better? How do we figure out how to put these plants together in a medicine where we're like, oh, I'm actually helping myself, right? Because sometimes we can have analysis paralysis. We've learned all the stuff and we're like, I don't know what to do with it, right? So my goal is to help you be able to do this and be alongside other herbalists. And I'm going to post about it starting next week. It's not going to be available until the 21st. But if after watching this class, you're like, I think I want that. And like some of these women in here will be there learning alongside of you. They've already taken it. And there's alumni and new students working with each other, as well as Emily offering beautiful shamanic journeys for each plant of the month. And if you do sign up through this free class, even if you're watching in the replay, you get like a bonus herbal medicine sent to you in the herb box we get. So my poor baby is just not having a good time, and his daddy is about at his wit's end. So I'm going to just cut it there, and I'll just message everyone, see how you're feeling, answer any follow-up questions. But before we go, do you have any thoughts, any questions, any concerns while you've got me? Babe, just bring him out here. That was wonderful, 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 wonderful. And if things spark up through the week, message me. I love to geek out about this and talk about it. All right, I will be in touch. Thank you all so much. Thank you for holding the frequency with all of us women here on this new moon, this frequency of change, through frequency of self-sovereignty and of becoming our self-healers. I love you so much. Have a wonderful night.